The breaking news that's coming in, Prime Minister Modi has touched down in Johannesburg of South Africa for the G20 Summit. These are the images that have just come in of the Prime Minister disembarking from his plane. He's also put out a message about how excited he is to be there for the G20 Summit. He will be addressing 3 sessions in all, but also a very warm welcome for the Prime Minister in Johannesburg. There's a cultural welcome for him. You'll see images of that in just a moment. He's there for the next 3 days. And for the G20 Summit, which has already, of course, been in headlines over the fact that US President Donald Trump has chosen to boycott this particular summit. The Chinese President also isn't there. Xi Jinping, however, isn't there because he's cutting back on travel. But for Prime Minister Modi, the focus is going to be on 3 sessions that he will be addressing. The summit this time, the G20 Summit, is themed around solidarity, equality and sustainability. And Prime Minister Modi, while also putting out a note about this particular visit to Johannesburg, highlighted how he's particularly excited over the fact that the African Union was made a part of the G20 Summit when India had hosted the G20. If you remember, in 2023, in the national capital, when all G20 leaders had gathered in Delhi, that's when the African Union was made a part of the group of 20. And so the Prime Minister highlighted that in his note to say that's what makes him particularly excited to be there for this year's G20, which is being hosted by South Africa. There are also going to be a number of crucial bilateral meetings that will be taking place with the leaders who are present in Johannesburg. There were questions about whether there would be any sort of meeting or at least a face-to-face meet and greet between President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi. But like I said, with President Donald Trump choosing to boycott the G20 summit, he is not attending this particular summit in Johannesburg, which also led to quite a bit of controversy because you also had Ramaphosa being very, very critical of the boycott decision taken by Donald Trump. But for Prime Minister Modi, of course, while he will be focusing on the theme of this year's Summit of Solidarity, Equality and Sustainability, in his note he did say that he's going to be putting forth India's perspective in line with India's vision of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and One Earth, One Family and One Future. That was largely the theme also of the G20 Summit when we'd hosted it back in 2023. It's something that the Prime Minister will highlight once again. So these are the images on your screens right now of Prime Minister Modi. This is from a few moments ago as the Prime Minister disembarked his plane, being welcomed by, in fact, the dignitaries present there. And right after that, a guard of honor also for the Prime Minister as he made his way towards the venue from the airport. 3 days that will be packed, of course, with bilaterals and the fact that the Prime Minister will be addressing 3 sessions as part of the G20. Pranay Upadhyay of India Today Global is joining us with more details on this. Pranay, to you, what's the most significant highlight of the Prime Minister's visit to South Africa for the G20?
At a time, Akshita, when the G20 Summit is taking place for the first time on the African soil, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in whose presidency African Union got entry into the G20 Summit. So that's why this G20 Summit of South Africa is very important and significant for India's participation, India's role, because India played a pivotal role in the entry of South Africa and the African Union into the G20 as a permanent member. Besides that, the very topic, the theme for this year's 20th G20 Summit is set as the solidarity, equality, and inclusivity for everyone. So that is the theme, which was actually an extension of the theme took by India, which was based on the ancient Indian wisdom, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, One Earth, One Family, One Future. And South Africa is also taking it forward in the terms of making it solidarity-based, equality-based, and inclusivity-based. A theme for the issue of G20. As far as the India's or Prime Minister Narendra Modi's presence on the G20 forum is concerned, because he will be participating in all the important forums he will be making his intervention, and he will be sharing India's perspective, because India emerged as the most prominent voice of the global south. And you will recall, Akshita, that during India's presidency in 2023, India not only hosted G20 Summit but also had held a meeting of the global south, which was attended by over 70 countries of the global south, developing countries. So G20, and interestingly, Akshita, last 4 G20 summits were held were hosted by the developing countries, including Indonesia, India, Brazil, and now South Africa. So this is the continuation and importance of the South, the voice of global South, developing countries, and India's primary focus will be how to make the global management, the institutional framework for the international affairs to be global South-led. How the issues of concern and issues of development, issues of logistic supply, issues of resource management, and issues of the finance availability for the developing countries should be given priority in the global, global order, in the global management.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Pranay, for joining us with those details.